Hello and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By, a Star Trek podcast. My name is Jake, and today I'm joined by
Chris,
Ames,
and Caitlin.
And we're going to be discussing the first of 4 Star Trek The Next Generation motion pictures. That's right, folks. We're talking about Star Trek Generations. Talking about generations.
Apparently,
my generations.
in some regions, they kept the numbering going.
Oh, so this is Star Trek 7?
For some people.
I've seen that reference a
That's
bunch.
kind of funny.
I think in Europe it's Star Trek 7
All
Generations.
right, well, there you go. Star Trek 7 Generations.
It's a lot of generations.
It sure is.
What number are we on?
We're on episode 142.
Ooh.
That's right. We've been doing this a long... Okay, so in Star Trek Generations, let's see, how do I synopsize this film? Okay, so we open up, we're on the Enterprise B, that's the B is in boy, and it is an Excelsior-style ship, captained by Cameron from Ferris Bueller, and they've brought on board some press people and some dignitaries, including our boys Kirk and Scotty and Chekhov.
Press still exists in this future?
Of course, why
We
wouldn't
never
they?
we never see news.
Press is essential to a free society, so yes.
Really? Well, I'm just saying we've never seen anyone get like a news clip of
Well,
anything.
Look,
you don't
'cause
often see press people on boats.
We don't see civilians much on this show.
Yeah, I buy it.
I don't what?
Well, because we're like the people. These are the people making the news. They know
Yeah,
what's
the
going
fucking
on.
synopsis. Let's do
Yeah,
this
listen,
after.
listen. I'm just irate.
So they're they're on the ship. They are doing their maiden voyage, and they get a distress signal. So they have to go and check it out. And it turns out it's the LaCool and another ship, and they are transporting survivors from the Borg invasion of Aloria or wherever. And so they're caught in some kind of thing, and they manage to beam a handful of them off. Most of them get killed. But then the ship itself, the Enterprise, gets trapped in this thing. So in order to free it, they have to do some shit with the deflector. So Kirk goes down, does his thing, and they free themselves. But then right as they're pulling away, the big dick of the thing comes out and slaps Kirk up the mouth, and he's dead, or seemingly so. Fast forward a little while later.
78 years.
78 years later, Worf takes a dip, so does Crusher, yada, yada, yada. Renee's dead. And we get called to this distress call at this observatory, and it's in space, and they get there, and there's an old guy, and oh, wait, we've seen this old guy before. He was on the Enterprise B. He's one of the Alorians they rescued. That's weird. But anyway, looks like some Romulans came, attacked it, so fuck. While they're there, they find out some bullshit about trilithium, and then so Geordi and Data go over. Oh, by the way, Data has emotions now. Data freaks out because he doesn't know how to deal with the emotions, and hey, look, there's that weird old guy. Oh, he's actually kind of creepy and weird. Oh God, he's kidnapped Geordi. Then he blows up the star of this system that they're in, and right before the thing can come and blow everybody up, these Klingons decloak and beam off this guy, Dr. Soren, and he kidnaps Geordi, and then our crew managed to make it off safely, but everything else in the system gets destroyed. So what's going on? Well, we find out that this guy Soran is a fanatic. He's trying to get back to this thing called the Nexus, which is where he was when he was inside that space anomaly on the Enterprise B before they beamed him out. And Guinan's like, man, it's like an orgasm 24/7 in there. So that's why he's trying to get back, and he's obsessed with it. He'll do anything to get back there, including blowing up another star and killing millions of people on a planet. Mm-hmm. So Picard's like, we can't let this stand. So let's go check it out. They go check it out. They get there and they discover, oh my God, that Klingon ship, that was the Duras sisters. Oh God, they're cunty. So the Duras sisters call up and they're kind of weird. They're like, we'll just beam you down to the planet, Captain, in exchange for giving you Geordi. So I don't really know what we got out of this deal.
Nothing.
But whatever.
Why?
So they do that. They send Geordi back. Well, it turns out they put a webcam in his visor, and they managed to scoop a piece of vital information, the Enterprise's shield frequency, off of a screen that Geordi looked at. And then with that information, they're able to make their torpedoes go right through the shield. So they attack the Enterprise. They manage to do some serious damage. The Enterprise does find a weakness and blow them up too. But in the meantime, they've dealt the fatal blow, and the Enterprise blows up. Well, the bottom half does anyway, and the top half crashes into the planet.
I haven't seen saucer separation in a while.
Yeah, well,
It's like a long while.
So they do. We see it here, and it doesn't go well. So the bottom half blows up, the top half crashes into this planet. I mean, Troy was driving, so what can we expect?
Wow.
Data could have taken the wheel. Oh wait, he was busy laughing hysterically.
Jesus could have taken the wheel.
Seriously.
Jesus can't drive.
Meanwhile, down on the planet, Picard is fighting with this guy Soren to try and get control of this missile that's going to blow up the star. But instead of going after the missile, he goes after the man, and it's too late. The missile fires off, blows up the sun, and everyone dies except Soren, and Picard gets sucked into this Nexus thing. And then Picard has this weird Victorian Christmas fantasy, and then he goes and he meets who else but James Kirk,
Guinan. Oh, right, yes.
who's also in the Nexus. And Picard's like, hey, Kirk, you gotta come back with me and fight this guy, punch him in the face. And Kirk's like, punch the dude in the face, I'm there. So they go. They go to this back to the place right before the missile went off. They punch Soren in the face. They disable the missile. Kirk falls down.
Go boom.
And they manage to save everybody except for Kirk, who dies. The end.
That was actually really good. Really quick.
I was expecting quicker. All right, well, I think I'm going to start this off by showing you guys live. Mm-hmm. The audience can listen in, and I'll share this on the Facebook or something as well. But watching what was originally going to be how this movie was going to open, but they cut it.
Is it?
Oh, I know what this is going to be.
There he is, there, to the sound. What the? Are you blind? That's a bird.
I'm sorry, what the fuck?
Ooh.
That should be him. I think he just crossed the sound barrier.
I don't like that it's interspliced with the champagne bottle.
There he
Oh,
is.
that's what that is. I see that.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good footage.
It's also just a stupid idea.
Yeah. So Kirk is parachuting in from space. For those who aren't watching this live with us.
No, I also didn't know what was going on, so I'm grateful for your narration.
Right on target. I jumped out over the Arabian Peninsula, and I landed right here. Right on the dime. Actually, Captain, your precise target was 35 meters that way. Thanks for pointing that out.
Tomorrow, I'm going to do a tri-elliptical jump. That's where you jump out over northern China, do 3 complete orbits, and then start your re-entry.
Captain, perhaps you have forgotten, but tomorrow we are to smile for the holographic recorders.
Holographic recorders.
There's still cameras, Pavel.
What do you mean you're not going? We promised. When I returned from Starfleet, I swore I'd never set foot in another starship again. And I meant
Captain,
I don't want to hear any more about it. I'm not going. That's fine.
Captain.
Alright, and now the champagne thing happens, and then they go to the scene where apparently Kirk is a liar and shows up anyway.
Yeah, it's that comedy trope of like, I won't do it! Cut to them doing it.
Yeah, I'm glad they cut that. That
So-
was pretty stupid.
I think the worst part of this movie, there's a lot of bad parts, but the worst part is sitting there through that whole opening sequence, just going, okay, so that was supposed to be McCoy's line.
Oh, yeah.
That was supposed to be Spock's line.
There were a bunch of those. Yeah, because they could only get check off and doing. And obviously, they had Shatner in from the get-go because they were like, what if he died? And he's like, yeah, all right, cool.
He had a Han Solo clause before the Han Solo clause.
They originally asked Nimoy to direct, and Nimoy said, no, you should have asked me way earlier than this.
And also, I don't want to direct this piece of
Oh,
shit.
did they ask him really last minute?
They asked him more last minute than I think he would have liked because, he looks at the script. Jake, stop destroying that placemat.
It's already destroyed. I'm fixing it.
No, you're not.
I gotta take these loose ones out.
I was gonna say, yeah, so they loop him in when the script's basically already done, and he looks at it and is like, all the scenes for Spock and McCoy and Uhura and Sulu and, anybody else, it's the first 15 minutes of the movie, and they all could just be given to each other. And they're like, yes, we'll just do that.
Yeah, well, that's the interesting thing, right? Or the dumb thing. This movie's called Star Trek Generations, and the implication I always would think is that this would be a movie where the old crew and the new crew have some kind of adventure together. Mm-hmm. But that's not what it is at all.
No.
It's an opening scene that has Kirk, and then Kirk shows up in the last 15 minutes of the movie
With Picard.
And dies.
And like,
I mean, the way they publicized it, it was basically the two captains are back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
From what I gathered.
Yeah,
in
but
terms of all
even
posters and
that
shit.
would have been more interesting if there had been more screen time, I think, for Kirk.
Yeah, they really made it. I remember the old ads. Like, the ads were mostly, look, it's Picard. Look, it's Kirk. Look, it's stellar cartography. We spent a lot of money on that scene, and we are going to use it in, like, every trailer.
Oh, not just that.
That's pretty
it was a
sad.
pretty cool set, but I remember a lot of the... I remember watching... Because I was so hyped for this movie.
Oh, yeah.
I was super hyped. And I remember, watching a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. And, one of the things that they kept talking about was the stellar cartography. And it was computer animated, and it was, a pretty well done early example.
It holds up fairly well.
Yeah.
They're composited into it quite well.
Yeah, it looks good. But that was a big thing. Oh, we're building a new set for the Enterprise, yada, yada, yada. But yeah.
And then they blow it up.
Yeah, they blew it up.
In, like, the dumbest way possible. So, as I said before, like, TNG was the one I'd seen the least of as a kid. Mm-hmm. But I saw the movies frequently because they were always on TV. So because of this, I had thought I was going to see way, way more of the Duras sisters than we did.
Oh.
I thought there is no...
In the show,
Yeah.
you mean?
I thought there is
they were
no
gonna be
way
recurring villains.
they are going to let just random assholes blow up the Enterprise. But it turns out they let random assholes...
I mean, we saw them more than most of the villains, I want to say.
Yeah, but we saw them like they were pivotal in the Civil War arc. And then they were a throwaway thing in Worf's, Alexander back from the future. Mm-hmm. And apparently there's a DS9 we'll see them in. But it's like, really?
Yeah.
Them?
No matter when they appear, they're always sort of like goofy things. Like they were Seela's little, playthings during the Klingon Civil War arc. And they're always, even in this, they're just fucking goofy.
Legitimately?
Oh, yeah. The line in which they're like, oh, human females are so ugly. I'm just looking at this, and like I said to Caitlin, like, they remind me of the Sanders sisters from Hocus Pocus. Just the way they deliver it, like, so connivingly. And...
Yeah.
It honestly would have made more sense. It still wouldn't have been good, but it would have made more sense, even though he had just as few appearances. But if it was fucking Daimon Bach... Because at least he has a hate on for Picard.
I mean,
like Tomalak. Make it the Romulans and make it Tomalak.
I was say the Romulans, either Tomalak or even, God forbid, Seela.
Yeah.
I mean, and we even get teased in this movie with the Romulans. Because
I know. I had a note early on, like, why aren't we seeing more of this Romulan thing?
Well,
no, they're just gone.
They were just there to attack the station.
We saw one dead one, and that was it?
Yeah. Yeah, because honestly, first of all, in terms of Star Trek movies, the Klingons as villains is fucking played.
Yeah.
3, 5, and 6 already had Klingon villains.
Mm-hmm.
And 6 was perfect, so you didn't really need to...
That's the real reason it was Lursen and Bator. So they could just use that explosion.
They wanted to use
again.
that fucking explosion. Yep.
Yeah, it's very confounding how they wedge the Romulan thing in, and they wedge the Klingons in, when really we should be focusing more on this Soran guy.
Yeah.
Who's, honestly, like, he needs more to him to feel like a villain, because right now it just sounds like he's a guy who wants to go back on LSD after being off it for a while.
Yeah.
It could be, I could actually see it being the Ferengi, but again, they're so goofy and fucked up.
Do we get the Cardassians in any of the movies? They're good. I like them.
By the time we get to the next movie, the Cardassians are not... They're involved in different shit. So we won't see them.
I mean, ideally, really, they would have just focused on their villain. But I'm just saying, if the studio had to insist, like, we need someone from the show as the bad guy, there were better options than those two dingbats.
The other thing, too, is that I don't agree that Star Trek movies require a villain.
No, that's true, but the studio would kind
TMP
of...
didn't have a villain, and that was it was an interesting story.
I mean, I would even say that 5. I mean, yes, Cybok's a villain, but
God is the villain. God is the true villain.
Yeah,
of
well,
us
that's
all.
the thing. At the end of the day, Cybok's not all that bad a guy. He's just really misguided.
Incredibly. And 4...
Yeah,
the probe
didn't have a villain.
Doesn't mean to be fucking everything up. It doesn't understand that it is.
And, like, here's the thing. Like, Soren is just such a stupid villain.
I mean, really, in 4, the villain is whalers.
Yeah.
You get this whole... Like, everything about this movie just irritates me. Like, it's not enough to be, like, oh, man, this sucks so bad. It's just irritating.
Yeah.
The missed opportunities.
Yeah.
The fact that, why did they even hire... Like, they didn't hire the, Uhura, and they didn't hire most of the cast of the original. They shouldn't have bothered hiring Gates McFadden and Marina Sirtis either, because...
They did barely anything.
Yeah.
They're, I'm pretty sure Dr. Crusher has 5 lines in the movie at
Maybe
most.
6.
She gets to take a dip.
Yeah,
Troy takes the comm.
And here's the thing.
Troy finds a cat.
I'm pretty sure that first scene with the fucking boat thing was added just to give Gates McFadden something to do, because otherwise she wouldn't have factored into this movie whatsoever. She has the one thing that I can remember her doing is explaining to Riker who Soren is, which isn't even something that she would be doing. Like somebody, like Data would have looked that up or something.
Yeah, that is weird.
Like why
Data was busy having lots of emotions.
Why is she briefing on who Soren is? I don't understand.
Yeah.
A lot of dog activity going on right now. Apologies.
So there wasn't any kind of like medical thing that she had to do. She had to protect some kids.
That was also like clearly whatever photo they were using in the Enterprise database was from some sort of earlier makeup test for Soren that they abandoned because like the scarring on his face was a lot more noticeable and there was a lot more of it.
Maybe it was just fresh.
Yeah, maybe that was taken after he was rescued from the Lakul and he still had facial damage.
Maybe that's the idea, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's what it actually.
He's very long-lived. He's been powdering it up for years and years and years.
Yes.
So that's irritating.
Oh my God, Brent Spiner.
Brent Spiner's
whole plot.
irritating.
The whole
Irritating.
Data subplot. My thought the whole time as I'm watching this is, if they'd made this just like an episode of TNG in season 7, that would be fine.
Yeah,
Like,
that
that
would
would
be
be-
two-parter. This
yeah.
would have been better than Gambit.
I mean, I don't know if you could squeeze a 2-parter out of it. It's just, how does Data learn to cope with having emotions? That's
No, I'm thinking this whole movie
the whole
could have been a
movie.
2-parter.
I think I prefer Gambit.
Well, you
Wow.
liked Gambit. You put it on your tops list.
Yeah,
one's
but I
Gambit
still.
again?
Gambit's the Space Pirates one.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But no, look, just excise the Data thing entirely, because it's very irritating in this movie when you want him to be doing things.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think here was the thing. I feel like a lot of shit must have got dumped in the writing and in the editing of this film, because the whole Picard dealing with Renee being dead, like it factors in at the beginning when he first learns about it, and he's all upset and he's looking at his his Lisa Frank
Binder.
Photo album.
album.
Yeah, what's up with that, right? He's got this like old-timey leather-bound thing with a crest on the front. He opens up, he's got this little fucking tacky-ass
Well, that's how you can tell
holographic
Their
borders on the photos.
future pictures.
Also, when has anybody ever looked at a photo album on Star Trek? They're all on computers.
Yeah, he should have had
That's
like
a
a
good
tablet
question.
or something.
Like, even
It's
today,
absolutely
how many
ridiculous.
And
people
he goes
maintain
back.
photo
He
albums?
goes back and he saves the photo album instead of priceless relics.
I know. Did you
Where
notice?
there's plenty of room on that fucking ship he
Did
could
you
have salvaged. drawer.
Did you notice how before he finds the photo album,
Yeah.
he picks up that thing from the chase, the thing
Yeah.
that he almost came himself over,
Yeah.
and he just like sets it down,
Almost.
just like
You
oh
see
look,
him
the
smash
photo,
it.
the fucking
See,
photo album.
That's what's not important anymore.
And I get that, yes, this photo album is
So
important
stupid.
to you.
But all
But
the
surely
photos-
someone has digital backup.
Yeah,
of those
they're in-
sons of
but
bitches
even-
Or
They're in the
bring
cloud.
both!
Or how about you don't bring
Oh,
priceless
yeah.
family artifacts on the ship that gets blown up?
Well,
No,
we've
or
always
children.
said, yeah,
many,
like-
many children.
Well, no, fuck the children.
But regardless,
What were we talking about?
I was just
Renee,
saying how,
something
he
Renee.
doesn't. So he's grieving about Renee, and that factors at the beginning. And then there's like a scene in 10 forward where Soren tries to use that against him, but it doesn't really work. And then and then there's like one scene with Data and stellar cartography where it like is hinted at that like you have to learn to deal with your emotions.
Suck it up, Data.
But I feel like that was what the movie was starting to set up and then didn't finish was
Yeah.
a Data Picard parallel dealing with Data dealing with his emotions and with feeling
No,
like
that
he
didn't
failed
work at all.
Geordi,
Because
and then
it turned
Picard,
into too many jokes was
Yeah.
the problem.
Well, yeah, the
Oh my God,
jokes
it was
got
awful.
old
There's
so
like
fast.
So, on the
two
other
good
hand-
jokes. Data saying "oh shit" is fine.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
it was great.
There's like one more is fine. Anything else is superfluous.
Yeah, and I get that in the scene on the space station when Data was really doing it up, I feel like they were trying to be like, yeah, he's not well. There's actually something wrong here.
He can't handle it.
I think that could have been done without as much as they did with all the like open sesame and all that garbage.
I didn't hate the open sesame thing.
I did.
But everything else was awful, so it was just sort of like...
It became too much.
Oh yeah, I mean, no doubt.
And
it was a
and
confluence of issues.
And it wasn't paralleling any of the other moments of loss
Yeah,
in
I
this
don't-
movie.
I don't remember Picard having any, like, hysterical, laughing mental breakdowns about
There was
anything.
a better parallel between Picard and Kirk over the when do you have time to have a family kind of thing. When he looks at Sulu's daughter and says,
Yeah.
"Wait up. Jesus Christ, Sulu had an awesome looking kid. She's doing great in Starfleet, all this stuff. How did he find the time?" And Stewart saying, not Stewart, but Picard saying, like, "Man, I'm the last Picard now because all of my relatives have died off."
That is so frustrating too, because that's just like so much in this film was just
Overridden.
not anticlimactic. It's like we're gonna blow up the ship, not because it narratively makes sense, but because we want to make a new one for the next one. Like that's clearly what that was
Well,
about.
I think part of the problem too is that the Enterprise D model was. I mean, it was I've always heard that the model itself. I think there was a 12-foot and like a 4-foot model or something, or an 8-foot and a 4-foot, something like that.
There was a 12.
But they were incredibly cumbersome to work with and to get shots of, just because of how big they were and how you'd have to mount them.
Yeah.
And that beyond that, they also were not detailed enough for film because like the Enterprise D model was designed for television, so the windows are just backlit. There's nothing in the windows. So on a TV screen, that's fine. But on a movie-sized screen, if it's going to look weird. It's going to look like a model.
Yeah.
So they, I think that they wanted to replace. They didn't want to just recreate the D model or upgrade that one significantly. They wanted to build a new model.
Yeah, I know they had to do a lot of updates for it just to be in this movie.
Yeah.
Because they took the saucer off and threw it around this little mini forest set when they did the crash landing on the planet.
So yeah,
Which
so,
actually, it looked fine.
Yeah, the crash was fine.
but yeah, so they blew up the ship for like real world reasons that didn't really, I don't know, feel right in the narrative. They fridged Renee and Robert just so like I think it's the first example I can ever think of like a
Male
fridging of
fridging.
male characters.
Patrick Stewart, originally it was just Robert dying of a heart attack, and Patrick Stewart said, "Let's kill off Renee too, so that Picard has more of a reaction."
And so he doesn't have to work with children anymore.
Well, I know there were so many children you had to work with in this film, though.
Yeah, that's true.
They were mutants.
I will say though that was
English mutants.
that was one thing that was pretty funny. Was
Careful with Riker, he's broken.
I know.
Jake has some little figurines out.
Yeah, these were promotional
and
promotional figurines. that
Riker's foot isn't
went-
doing great.
Yeah, he's broken, but
And he smacked into a chair one day.
Kirk.
But
We got, that looks like Lursa.
it's one of them.
We got
Soren.
Soren. Data and Picard.
I noticed they are.
Picard does not look well.
I noticed they're all in the all the TNG folks are in the newer uniforms.
Yeah. Oh, that was another thing that was garbage about this movie. The fucking uniform switching.
It's really that they fluctuate scene to scene, which is the most irritating part. So there are literally scenes where you have Geordi and Data in a room together, and Geordi's in the old uniform, and Data's in the DS9 uniform, and there's no reason why they're switching.
We could dust that a little.
Oh gosh,
Yeah,
dust those before you take a photo. And then you get Patrick Stewart, who's in the original costume, and then he switches to the DS9 costume, and then at the end he's back in the original costume again, and I nearly threw something.
Well, and isn't the reason Freke's sleeves were all fucked up was because they didn't have time to make him one, so he's in what's Sisko's
Not
real name?
O'Brien's. Oh yeah, is it Sisko's?
Avery
Might be
Brooks?
Sisko's.
I think he's in Avery Brooks's.
Yeah, and
O'Brien doesn't have a red.
Yeah, O'Brien's yellow. I think if anything they put.
Geordi's in O'Brien's.
But I think Sisko's the only red shirt on DS9.
I think until Worf comes along.
Yeah, Worf is,
but he's not at this point. So yeah. So he's
He's
probably
also
in
not a red
Avery
shirt
Brooks.
at this point.
Yeah, and so on the one hand, that does look bizarre, but does have some real world precedent.
But they just flip. Why wouldn't they all change at once?
Wait,
So-
what is the real word?
Well, so here's the thing: there's no sense for someone who already wore the new one going back to the old one. That makes no sense.
No.
But so I know
Or at least address it so it doesn't look like a mistake.
right.
That's what it ends up
Like,
looking
oh
like.
yeah, when are you going to change to your new costume, Geordi?
So the thing with uniform changes, at
tomorrow.
least in the actual military, is what they do is they set out a new uniform code, and then it's like everyone has to be at this code by X date.
Well, that's
So we're actually in the middle of something like that right now for either the Army or the Navy. So in theory, there is actually a real world thing where you might see two people on the same vessel in slightly dissimilar uniforms. Of course, the differences wouldn't be quite as extreme as this. And it is still dumb, because if you don't know that, like I didn't until I saw this article one day, to normal people, you're just sitting there going, why? Because you don't know that this is apparently something that can actually happen.
I don't know. Yeah, I buy that for the U.S. military because here's the thing.
You don't have replicators?
You don't have replicators, and it takes time for quartermasters to sort that shit out.
Yeah, get everyone's memeasurements.
But
Stop
when-
just stealing
But on the
O'Brien's
Starship,
uniform.
you would think it would just be like Starfleet would send out a thing saying, "Hey, on January 5th, everyone start wearing the new uniforms."
Replicate yourself a new uniform.
Yeah, and that will be it, because it does, and especially in a movie,
Yeah.
it does end up looking
Weird.
like somebody fucked up, like they ran out of time to create the uniforms.
Yeah. Well, especially when Picard, like you said, Ames, goes to the new one and then back to the old one.
Yeah, a lot of them I didn't particularly notice, but that one I happened to look and say, wait a minute, black on the top, no collar. What?
Yeah.
Why? Everyone looked so much better in the nautical uniforms on the ship. Honestly, they should have just stayed in that the whole day long. But that's mostly that I think those look fucking great. I wanted to talk about a different toy thing though, and that's that they actually, the costumer did actually create all new uniforms for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
They would have looked more akin to the TOS movie uniforms. With the flappy bit that comes down and the collar that comes up.
Oh, yeah. I feel like I've seen a drawing of that at some
I
point.
have them right here. I'm going to show you,
brilliant.
and I'll share them on the.
Oh, they even made action figures.
Yeah, they made action figures
Probably
of these
prototypes.
because they did not tell the toy line. Did I write down what they were?
Playmates.
Playmates. They didn't tell them in time that they weren't doing these uniforms. So you can actually see, if you scroll past the article, that they would have had that flappy bit at the top and the collar come up higher. And they had the ranks on the sleeves and on the collar, which I think is redundant.
Again, it's like when they had on the badge and it's one or the other people, not both. I do like that design, though. I kind of wish they'd gone with that.
I know, I would love to see how it looked like.
reminds me of the Admiral uniform.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, but these toys exist in the world, which I think is kind of funny.
I mean, did they redo them once they figured out that there was an issue?
What do you mean?
Did they redo the toys? Because I have a ton of toys.
No,
from
these toys are still out, and I think the only reason
I
they
wonder if I have
didn't,
any
and
of those.
this infuriates me as well, is that the only reason they didn't decide to do this costume for the new uniforms was because they were like, oh, well, we're already changing some elements of the ship, and this, that, and the other thing, and we're changing a couple other things. We don't want to change too much for the movies, or people won't know what's going on. And yet they do the stupid flipping back and forth between DS9 and TNG uniforms, which is even more distracting.
I feel like the average audience goer isn't really noticing this shit.
No.
Oh,
Is this your Kirk right here?
Yes, it is.
Does he have the helmet?
Yes, he does. It's just not on.
Oh, look at that. Oh, and he's got a big...
Yeah,
Did you
he
ever have
comes
the
with
bottle of Dom Perignon?
Yeah, it's a little blue. It's a blue bottle of just champagne.
And those are Star Trek 2 trading cards.
Yeah, I don't know. And these are from other movies.
That was fun. We'll be sure to share that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just... Why do they make some of these fucking decisions?
Yeah, it's an excellent question.
But anyway, like the point is though, and I want to talk to Caitlin because Caitlin and I don't think we dislike this movie.
No, I didn't hate it.
Like I expected it to be trash.
I expected it to be really bad, yeah, based on what I've been told. Because what I've been told is, oh yeah, you've seen First Contact? That's the good one. And I was like, ooh.
Oh, see, I love First Contact.
First Contact is like fine, but for it to be the highlight of a 4-film series, it's like...
I gotta rewatch First Contact and determine if it's my favorite of all the movies.
Like,
you haven't seen the
all
last
10?
two either, though.
Do you mean all 10 or just...
All 10, yeah.
Oh,
Is
shit.
it 10?
Yes.
Oh, 10.
No, it's 10.
10.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was like, okay, I thought that I needed like 10 minutes less of Patrick Stewart and Malcolm McDowell old manning around on the planet.
Like I said, it's the most thrilling old man fight until Up.
No, the fight was good. That was the good part. But it was like the 20 minutes of
they're
McDowell
just
being
dicking
like,
around.
do you don't have anything better to do? It's like, no, asshole, you've literally, trapped me in a force field in the middle of a quarry, it looks like. So no, I don't really have anything to do. And I don't really understand how his plan worked. Like,
Soren's?
I understand, yeah. I understand.
Or the Nexus plan.
Yes?
The plan to get out of the Nexus.
No, that I understood.
it
The
also
ribbon
doesn't-
plan.
Yeah,
Okay,
it also
I
doesn't
have
make
a
sense.
lot of rant to do about the Nexus.
So I mean,
We all
obviously,
do, I'm sure.
there's a major timing issue with him blowing up that star. Like
That late in the game, and it somehow shifts
well,
it
that's
enough.
the thing, right? So like the Nexus is already visible in the atmosphere of this planet. Any change that you would make to the gravitational whatever is not gonna, like, the thing's gonna be long past by the time that takes effect.
And according to stellar cartography, until he makes the change, it's supposed to not even touch the atmosphere of the planet.
Unless it's that
that's
big
funny.
and that bright that from...
If it's that big and that bright, then why don't anybody else seem to know about this thing?
Yeah, well,
And also, why didn't like they've talked? They must have taken accounts from the survivors of what was it called, the Dracul or some shit. Lakul. You know, they talked to Whoopi. They talked to Soren. 87 years ago, or however long it was.
78.
Same thing. And to ask them like, where the fuck were you guys? But what happened? And they'd be like, we were in the Nexus. Let's explain to you what the Nexus is. So
how
it's
about,
not
okay, you
fucking
want to talk,
nothing.
well, I don't think they debriefed the Elorians at all.
no.
Why?
Because, well...
They were too busy
I don't
mourning
know,
Kirk.
but beyond the fact that they don't know what the Nexus is, they also don't know what the fucking Borg are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's that. Oh, fuck.
And I know that's a little bit of canon cop.
No, but you're right.
But because it's but here's the
No,
thing:
yeah.
you if they had introduced the Elorian before the fact, I don't know. It makes no sense because they've already introduced the Borg. They've already introduced that the Borg destroyed the Elorians' planet, and they already introduced, even in this movie, that they were escaping the Borg.
Yeah.
So the fact that Starfleet didn't know about the Borg until Q showed them, either the Elorians, maybe they're listeners, maybe they listen,
but they don't tell.
They don't tell, maybe, yeah,
No one asked.
maybe.
I was too busy bitching to them.
Yeah, so the
Make
fact
them
that they don't know about the Nexus and they don't know about the Borg
That's a very good point.
is makes me think that they either didn't debrief these people or these people are just assholes that don't tell anybody
Really, it's
anything.
that the writers fucking forgot because they were so busy being like, how do we link Kirk and Picard? I know, Guinan, because she's long-lived. That will work.
Here's an idea for Dr. Soren, who apparently spent 78 years trying to figure out how to get back in the Nexus. You get a spaceship as close as it can get without getting destroyed.
Jump out.
Yes. Put on a fucking spacesuit with a little, rocket pack like Spock had, and you fly into it.
So why can't...
Or even just get a spaceship or shuttlecraft, because if one of the little tendrils zaps your ship,
Apparently.
You go in because where
That's where
Kirk
Kirk
was.
went. Yeah,
Again.
like that befuddled me entirely.
That's
of
always pissed me
why-
off about
It's so
this movie.
stupid.
Why can't? I mean, also, why can't ships enter the Nexus?
They kerplode.
Well, they get destroyed, but
But there's
that's
people inside.
okay.
Then the people should be taken out.
They should be,
And
yes.
their lionfishes and their spots and whoever else is on board.
Yeah, but apparently that's not how it works. But again, spacesuit. Jump
Yeah,
out.
Jump out. Hop in a. Yeah.
It's really not.
It like
explained
that
very well.
causes the whole film to collapse in on itself. Is that
Yeah, he could just fly into it with a fucking ship.
yeah.
I mean, as I've said, I have a section in my notes that is called dedicated ranting about the Nexus. Because it makes no fucking sense. Like, I wrote
So
down,
stupid.
it's basically, the whole happy, the contagious happy shit from the Final Frontier. And also the jizz flowers of this side of paradise combined, where it's just like, you just want to be happy all the time. And that's kind of the bad guy of your movie, is happiness. But it also makes no fucking sense.
No.
And I'd like to poll the room. How did they get out?
Yeah, I don't know that either.
Believing in themselves?
They clicked their heels together 3 times and thought there's no place like
Well,
home.
because here's some more problems with that too.
Guinan
right?
was there?
Right. So
For reasons?
here I'm gonna just make a litany of problems here.
Yep.
Okay, so let's start with Guinan.
Yes,
Because
please.
the Guinan, so Guinan was in the Nexus 78 years ago.
Yep.
Now at that point, she did know Picard,
Yep.
but she didn't. She wouldn't have context for their current predicament.
No.
Like she wouldn't know.
Is
that
she Picard's imagination?
That's what I was I've always thought this was fucked up.
It's really
Because
weird.
like
It's really fucking
I
dumb.
could see her being like, "Hey, Jean-Luc, do you remember me from Earth? Remember Sam Clemens?
From
No one
from
wants to
Sister Act
remember
and Sister
Sam
Act
Clemens.
2?
And and then he could be like, "Hey, I need your help," and then he could explain the plot to her. But they couldn't do that because maybe people haven't seen the show, so
And also, we don't need to sit there and listen to it.
I have a fix. I have a fucking fix that would have fixed all of this, and I don't know why they didn't do. Well, they didn't do this. It would have been too complicated, but it would have fixed this, and that's that. So we have Enterprise crash landed on the planet, is about to be destroyed by the sun exploding, all that stuff. Why did none of them get eaten up by the string filament, whatever the fuck? If they had, then you'd get Whoopi in the Nexus with them, and she'd be able to say, "Hey, Picard, I've been here before. Here's what's going on. Here's what your options are. By the way, I happen to know Kirk is here. I don't know how I know this, because I either am here at all times or only this time, but sure.
so I mean,
Go ask him, even though for some reason he just got here."
My only other thought is that
Question
the
marks.
Guinan that he sees in the Nexus is neither his imagination nor is it actually Guinan. That it is in fact some.
The Nexus itself.
It is a consciousness that resides within the Nexus as like a something, I don't know.
Okay, here's and I'm sure people have posited this before. Here's the easiest way to explain all of it. Picard never leaves.
Go
Everything we see in Star Trek
From
after
here
this
on out
is
all
Nexus.
just-
Oh.
The Nexus?
It's just the
I like
Nexus
that.
realized. It's kind of like how in the Matrix they talk about we tried to make you a paradise, but your mind has kept rejecting it.
Now let me think
And the
about it.
Nexus is like he's not. This isn't working. We need to give him shit to do.
Yeah,
So-
he doesn't want to be happy in a family. He really does
Wait
want
a
to
minute.
be on
I
a
think
on
you're
a
on
ship.
something, Chris, because here's the thing, right? In the next movie, he gets to punch the Borg. In the movie and he gets to touch the Phoenix.
Dicks, oh.
And in the movie after that, he gets to get his dick touched by that sexy lady. And in the movie after that, he gets a sort of son. So
And in a couple of years now,
these are all fantasies of his.
he's going to have his own show wherein he's going to be like Indiana Jones in space.
I think
As
you-
long
I
as
think
that's
you might
Indiana
have a-
Jones
I
in
think you might be
space,
onto
I think
something
this is
with
for real.
Yeah. So anytime we see Picard from here on out, it's the Nexus.
That's
But-
fine.
Wait, so but
because
do we
also-
have Data now or lore? Who do we
Both,
currently have?
simultaneously. No, it's actually Sung.
Yeah.
The emotion ship was actually Sung's memories, and then now Data uploaded
God.
it to himself.
No wonder
and
he's so fucking lame.
that's why he's going nuts.
Is that why they called him often wrong? Because his sense of comedic timing was often wrong?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's other. So the Guinan issue aside, we also have the issue that what are the mechanics of leaving the Nexus? Why didn't he go back a month ago? Why didn't he go back before the Armagosa sun was destroyed and just
You just arrest Soren
yeah?
then.
Hey, you know what?
Hey,
you seem like a crazy guy. Go in jail.
Hey, we know you've been conspiring with the Duras sisters. How do you know? We just fucking do. And here's another question. So Picard and Kirk get out of the Nexus to come do their thing. Now, Soren, in original Exploding of Suns, had obviously gone into the Nexus, is off, in his happy place, getting his dick touched by somebody. Maybe Kirk's horse, who knows?
Yay.
Is he still in the Nexus? Did he get forced out of the Nexus?
Well,
does he remember any of this?
who knows?
What the fuck is goddamn Nexus?
And how about this? Why aren't there 2 Picards on the mountaintop?
One Riker, one Bridge.
Like, because the Picard that went into the Nexus hadn't gone to the Nexus yet, and the Picard that came out of the Nexus is still there. So shouldn't there be 2 Picards and 1 Kirk fighting Soren?
And then in that case, why does it matter that the Nexus is going to get them? They can just go back in and hop out again and have more and more Kirks and Picards every time.
More Rikers, more Bridges.
Yay!
And a Riker in every pot.
So yeah, I don't know. There are lots of problems with this whole Nexus plot and fight.
I know Ronald Moore's rationalizing of why Picard didn't go earlier and pick on Soren then was because because Picard didn't want to fuck with the temporal timeline because he knows that's wrong. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Yeah. Like this, we're saying this feels like an overlong episode, like complete with even the
multiple episodes jammed together.
Well, yeah, it feels like
if they fixed the Nexus, cut the data thing, I might have been more on board because it wasn't like I didn't hate this. I just thought like the Nexus was dumb and Data was dumb.
It even has like an end of episode style like epilogue between Troy and Data.
And Spock.
Like, yeah, that feels like the end.
The best part.
That feels like the end of an episode, though. It's like, oh, so you decided to keep it? Oh, yes, because blah blah blah. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Spot was great.
Well, I do
it
think
was so good. He was so happy to see Spock.
I did like that.
That was such
so
a nice.
who wrote this movie?
Yeah.
Was it Star
Feel-
Trek?
feels
yeah,
like a committee.
it was Moore and Braga.
So here's the thing, right? So Moore and Braga, I mean, Moore's a great writer. Braga's okay. So, like, I know that the two of them can write Star Trek stories. But what I think happened here is they wrote what they knew, which is TV. And they wrote it for 2 hours and said, we'll film it as a movie.
It sounds better than Maurice Hurley's pitch because they got a pitch from him too.
No.
Michael Piller passed because there was too much competition.
He wasn't even on the show.
No, but they offered him a pitch anyway, and his pitch was to have Picard meet Kirk in a holodeck program, just like Leah Brahms, to help Picard solve a problem.
And then they bang.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, that makes more logical sense in this film. But yeah, I would say because here's the thing, right? In an episode, it would make sense to have the Data thing happening because in an episode you have an A and a B plot.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. I also think though that the way it's written as an ensemble, but what they fucked up on is that they didn't realize, I don't think, when they were setting it up that, oh shit, it's a movie. We can't focus on 7 characters for a movie.
No.
All right, so we're going to cut all that the Deanna stuff. We're going to, so that cuts out most of the Renee stuff. We're going to cut all the Crusher stuff. Wait, there was never any to begin with.
Nope.
Riker's going to do hardly anything. Everyone is going to do hardly
Gonna
anything.
look great in that hat, though.
And really, that's the big problem with these movies too.
What did Worf do?
Is that
Stop promoting.
He didn't do terribly much either. He was
No,
around. He at least said more stuff.
When they were like, "Oh, Worf, what kind of ship is that? Are there any weaknesses?" He's like, "Well, it's like this, but that's not a weakness." And then they use that as a weakness, despite him not saying anything about that.
You see, here's the problem: is that for all the movies, and I think this will be validated with time. Mm-hmm. Is that
4 does it best in using all these characters.
Sure, but for the TNG movies, I think the issue is that the producers figured out, okay, Picard and Data are our 2 most popular characters. Those are the ones that everybody likes. Everybody likes Picard, everybody likes Data. So the movies will just be Picard and Data.
Done.
Those are the only characters
Sold.
that anybody gives a shit about. So that's what we're going to do. First Contact...
I mean, hell, we got the First Contact poster right here. And who is it? Picard and Data.
Well, yeah, but
And
see,
Borg
I
Queen.
think with First Contact, even though it is largely Picard and Data, they did a good job of having a B plot on the planet. So that
For everybody else.
yeah, for everybody else except for Crusher again, who gets stuck on the ship
who
and
gets
doesn't have to do
shafted.
anything.
Poor Bev.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I don't think this movie's ever really give her anything to do.
But yeah, so there's that. I mean, and then, you know, Insurrection is a Picard and Data show, and so is Nemesis.
Oh, speaking of Crusher, though. Anyone else notice his wife in the Nexus was a redhead?
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping it was just going to be
Oh.
Crusher.
I expected it to be Crusher, and I'm almost
Because that would have
glad
given
it's
her
not.
more... Yeah.
You know what I was
But
thinking?
it still was someone that kind of looked like her. And
It's
that was,
like
Picard's
weird.
ideal woman, basically.
But here, you know what would have been really interesting and would have been a nice nod?
If it was Luoxana, yeah.
No, if it was his wife
Oh, from Inner Light.
from Inner Light.
I kind of...
And if it was his
I was-
family from Inner Light, and maybe that
Oh,
would be...
that would be so good. That'd be so hard for him to tear himself away from, too.
But it would
I
also
was-
be just like with Riker and Minuet. It would be it would be something that would be like, oh, it was never quite right. This is not quite right.
Yeah, she's
you know,
not real.
she's not a real
Yeah.
person.
I
She is a
was-
real person. She's a dead 10,000.
it's also why one of his children wasn't Wesley, because we're like, get me out of here!
Yeah,
Nice.
It's
Like-
true, but I don't want to face it!
Like the fact that his wife is not a character we've ever seen before is a little weird.
Yeah, just some
Because like, why would he care about this person?
random ass.
Like if it was really
Renee
like,
is a person we've
like-
never seen before.
Picard, I feel like Picard's happy place would probably be his Inner Light family.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Or even if,
Here's
like-
the thing. Here's the thing. Like, people who don't watch the show wouldn't understand what was going on.
But if they played it in the like basically the same script, you can even have them in Victorian clothes if you want.
For some idiot reason.
But-
No, I didn't. I like the
but if it's
costumes
just-
on not what was the name of that place? Fucking see Resic.
But no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, just have the actress. Just have that actress being the wife, because people that know the show
Yeah, it'll
and
be a
remember the
nod.
episode would be like, oh yeah, of course. And then people otherwise just would be the same as it is now.
Yeah, where it's just like some woman.
a woman we don't know.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
how
that was-
like how Kirk was going after Antonia when we'd never heard of Antonia.
Yeah,
before.
who the fuck is she?
There.
His
What were we-
horse.
what were you
Oh
gonna-
yeah, I've
were you gonna
never
say,
quite
Caitlin?
understood.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, when I wasn't Bev, I, like, flipped to the next picture and the book in my mind was like, is this the Inner Light woman? No, it's not.
Oh.
Okay.
Should have been Vash.
Yeah.
I don't think he loved Vash enough.
No, he didn't, but...
I reread William Shatner's chapter in Star Trek Movie Memories that's about this movie. And Kirk specifically, or Shatner specifically asked, you know, what is getting me out of the Nexus? Because, you know, originally it was just going to be Picard convincing him to leave. And Shatner and them worked out him figuring out when he jumps over the thing with his horse. Fun fact, that was Shatner's own horse.
Yeah.
That's why they worked well together and could do the jumps and stuff.
That was really him doing the jumps?
I don't know about that, but I know he was
Oh.
on his own horse.
Okay.
And he has a lot to say about horses in this book.
He's also I think that's his thing.
Yeah,
he's
horses.
a
So
thing
I
into
wouldn't be
writing.
surprised if he did his own
Yeah,
stunts.
but for him to kind of come to it on his own, like, no, this isn't real because I didn't have any fear when I jumped over that ravine.
That was good.
yeah,
That felt
so that's
very
a nice.
Kirk.
That's a
That's
nice
totally
touch.
Kirk, yeah.
So that it also gives him some power. So it's not literally just him tagging along to the new Enterprise captain, which is a
Yeah.
little bit sad.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's what I saw it earlier too. We had the anticlimactic trick to the ship, the off-screen fridging of the relatives, and then the anticlimactic death of Kirk.
Oh my god, what a fucking... I mean, not quite as bad as maybe as Sarek, since they do sort of save the world.
Yeah.
And I think Kirk would be glad to give his send-off in a movie. That is to say, Shatner would be
Yeah.
glad to have Kirk's
Yeah.
send-off in a film.
That is true.
But after that absolutely asinine struggle on the grate, which was just ridiculous, and then to fall to his death, I don't know. But I thought he did it well. I mean, I thought
Yeah.
his acting
No, he did.
was
He
actually
was
quite
just-
good. It just was like...
It's better than his original death.
What have you seen the original death?
No, but I've read about
Yeah,
it.
because I read about the original death
What
too.
was it going to be?
Yeah,
Soren
was?
shoots him
In the back.
in the back, and I think he still gets the same lines, the same. It was fun. Oh my!
Yeah.
And Shatner added the oh my because he wanted him to have something profound to see in the next thing. It was a little unclear. It sounded a little superficial kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that seems like a... Bill wants to say this, guys. All right, let him say what he wants to say. Speaking of which, right, so we have Old Man Fight. So let's talk about Old Man Fight real quick. So I know everyone's like, man, Patrick Stewart hasn't aged in 30 years. Well, you know what? He has, first of all. And also, it's because in the first 50 years of his life, he aged 80 years. He started old.
Yeah.
Because I was looking at this, and Shatner, who's 10 years older than Stewart,
Looks a lot better,
he
actually.
looks a lot. Well, I don't know about better, but he looked younger for sure.
I feel like
maybe
Shatner,
he dyes his
though,
hair or
like,
whatever.
Works out.
Has hair, or at least has
William
a wig.
Shatner works
Oh
out.
no, I read his book, and he in preparing for this movie, like apparently, like months before this, he'd had a horse riding accident,
Oh, shit.
and had to do a lot of recuperating
Oh,
from that.
okay.
So he had to do a lot of. He got back into running so that he could strengthen the leg back up.
Okay, I could believe that.
Well, and also this is him 28 years ago or whatever.
Yeah, but I just mean Shatner's never struck me as the working out
I don't
type.
know.
He's in good shape.
But he's also the vain type, which means he wasn't gonna just sit back and let middle-aged, spread take him.
No, that's
Jonathan Frakes.
That's what
Anyway.
nipping, tucking.
Aw.
That's what nipping and tucking and airbrushing are for.
But I don't know.
I
I think
tease about Jonathan
Shatner
Frakes,
was
but
in pretty good
he
shape.
could still get it.
Yeah, no, I mean for especially like
Yeah, he would have been in his 60s when this came out. So yeah, I'd say he did pretty well for himself.
yeah.
Especially when like fucking acting in where was this, Nevada, like north of Las Vegas or some shit, in the goddamn desert.
Ugh.
Miserable. And he has to wear that, and Shatner was in that wool uniform.
Oh yes, the turtleneck.
Oh no.
The compromise was to put him in a vest,
He was
which was
like,
probably
"Please
still
kill
made
me."
of wool.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm sure.
But yeah, I don't know. I actually think this is I thought Shatner did a good job in this movie. I thought
liked it.
Oh yeah, no,
I
no,
thought he held
no.
his own.
He did very well. I just feel like he was, like so many people in this, misserved by the script.
Yeah. I actually watched. In looking at the the intro scene, the first 15 minutes where we're on the B with Dewin and what's the other one? Well, Koenig.
Koenig.
And it's like, yeah, it feels like a TOS movie. And, it feels like one of the good TOS movies. The way that they have their banter, the way they're kind of setting it up. That clip I showed you was very, very much like Kirk climbing, what fucking mountain?
El Capitan.
El Capitan. Very much, look, he's still virile and still going and still
Being
wants
reckless.
to be... Yeah, be Kirk.
And then you could tell they switched to the TNG movie because they turned the lights way down.
Yeah. So let's talk just real quick because we're running low on time. But
Are we?
yeah, but let's talk real quick about the some of the redesigns on the Enterprise. In particular, the bridge has been redone significantly.
Was it that significantly?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't notice a ton.
So
I read about it and I still don't
the big
notice
changes
a
were
ton.
they elevated the command area, which should have always been elevated, but and they added stations. So back when they did yesterday's Enterprise, they had stations like
Off to the left and
off
right.
to the left and right where the cabinets usually are. So they added those back in, which is nice.
Well, probably because they were like, oh shit, this is a widescreen thing now.
It's gonna look boring if there's just cabinets on the side of the screen at all times. But obviously the most significant change on the bridge is Worf got a fucking chair.
Yep.
Woo!
Woohoo!
Thank
They
you.
decided after making him lieutenant commander, they'd let him stay.
That's
And
what
then he leaves, the fucker.
No, he says like all the rights and privileges there too. That must mean a chair.
Yeah.
Those are the only rights and privileges, just the chair.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Well, he now gets his murder card is refreshed, so now he can kill another Klingon dignitary for free if he wants.
Does he get to keep that hat?
I hope so.
Well, yeah, they were apparently real because they were existing outside
That's
the
true.
holodeck
Yeah, they
for quite
were.
a bit.
They were.
so
They should have fucking kept him.
yeah,
God
all the whole time instead of doing
Looks
this
so
swap
good.
between all these other shit. Because you're gonna tell me that they had time to change. I mean, we weren't really doing. This was only a 24-hour period. A lot of the movie, right?
damn it. Probably.
I hate to tell you this, but apparently there's a Lieutenant Commander Worf in 19th century outfit action
I
figure.
saw that on the back there. But also, look at the face he's making.
Actually, that's just his face for both his figures.
Yeah, they just replaced.
No, I
they just
know,
swapped
but
the heads.
but like, why?
But yeah, no, seriously though, like, I get they were like, oh boy, we're not on TV, we can do more dramatic lighting, but they forgot to do any lighting, it felt like.
It felt like a different thing.
Like, they were like, oh yeah, a lot of the light's coming in from, like, natural sources outside the ship, which is a really interesting idea when you're in an area with windows, like Picard's ready room, like 10 forward. But, like, the bridge is a screen. Why aren't the lights on?
Don't they have a? Is that a window above?
Yes, they
Yeah,
they
we
showed
see
that
it-
it's a window.
Yeah.
You see,
Actually,
it's
it is.
broken at the end
Oh,
because
yeah,
they just
that's
have everything
another
made of
thing.
glass.
Well, yeah, why are all the windows made out of
Glass and not
evidently?
transparent aluminum?
And like not even like I'm pretty sure on spaceships when you have windows they have to be like pretty thick
Incredibly.
to stand up to the
Pressure.
The pressure of space. Well, lack of pressure of space, but the pressure inside the ship. Anyway. But those looked like they were just like tempered glass windows like you'd have in any shop.
Yeah, no, they look like shit.
And like this is scene like so they have the skylights broken on the bridge, but then you also see there's a scene during the crash when like a whole bunch of windows just shatter into a million little shards.
Yeah, those people are injured and or
It's like
dead.
what? That doesn't make any sense. We've established on Star Trek that transparent aluminum, and in fact, when the episode, what fucking episode was it? The one with the little wormholes.
Yes.
And one of them opens a hole in the conference room window.
Yeah.
And it sucks everything to it. And I'm pretty sure Data even confirms in that episode that, I think, he says, something interacted with the transparent aluminum of the window.
Yeah, at the very least, it's probably not fucking glass.
Yeah, it's certainly not glass.
Oh god, what episode was that? I remember that one.
Yeah, it was one where shit was going wrong.
I feel like it's one of those ones that like it was fine, but not exactly memorable.
It wasn't. Nah, whatever.
Yeah,
It was the B plot of something. I want to say Offspring,
Oh!
but that doesn't sound right.
It was the B plot for the one where Loxana befriends Alexander.
No, it wasn't. That was the poop. That was the aliens turning.
Oh
into poop.
shit, you're right.
Yeah, whatever.
Anyway.
Either way,
Yeah,
I'm pretty
yeah.
sure that came up at a point.
It did.
And I seem to remember involving shit in the conference room.
Yeah, apparently at some point during the refit where they got new stellar cartography, they also replaced all the windows with whatever it is they make the tables out of.
That Worf will smash through.
Worf, Kalar,
Kalar, yeah.
Klingons
Any
in general.
Klingon.
Yeah,
And always in front of Troy for some reason.
yeah.
But if they're not Klingon proof, how are they going to be space proof?
That's true.
No, I wanted to ask Chris. So, what do you think of the Enterprise B? Because I forget where I didn't look up your list. Is it the bottom of the list?
The Excelsior class is a beautiful ship, except this variant.
How many variants of Excelsior class are there?
Oh,
2.
don't ask him
Okay.
that.
The original and this ugly fucker.
So the A is still Excelsior class? Which one? Wait,
No,
the original.
A is the Excelsior is Excelsior class.
Okay.
Yeah,
This is Excelsior class, but
that's the Enterprise B version.
the
Okay.
B has this.
Bulge here.
Yeah.
And also, man,
But this is also, if you look at it, this is labeled Excelsior, which is stupid.
dumb. Yeah,
Oh, it is.
that annoys me. It also has 2 extra thrusters here.
Sure.
So they've made the saucer clunkier, and they added this horrible, ugly fucking thing.
They added that horrible fucking thing so that it would be clear that the Nexus just chopped some of it off.
No, I know. Like, I get why they did it, although...
Because otherwise there'd be no way that only Kirk was taken from
Yeah. I mean, I get why they did it narratively, but I still think they've ruined a perfectly good ship for it. Because I remember seeing, like, concept art for this film, like storyboards, and they originally just had a normal Excelsior class in the storyboards, and they had just a gash down the
When
side.
did we see one? When do we see them?
See what?
Excelsior class.
The Excelsior in Star Trek 3 and 6.
Oh, okay.
Sulu's ship, and we see a ton of them
Yeah,
throughout
yeah,
TNG.
Ton of them in
I'm
TNG.
totally kidding. I
Thank
didn't
you.
know
But
But
that.
basically-
I know what's going on.
basically
I
it's
don't
the-
know their names of it.
No, me
Basically,
either.
take the Enterprise B and get rid of the ugly bulge, and
You remember Captain Fancy Baton,
Yeah, that was the original Excelsior.
Transwarp Drive.
Search for Spock?
Oh, I've put Search for Spock out of my mind.
Sulu ship in 6.
Sure.
Really far out of my mind.
And also, yes, it's like 18 different ships in TNG.
Yeah, anytime they're like taking on a dignitary, that's always from an Excelsior, it seems.
Yeah. But yeah, no, the Excelsior class is a lovely ship. The Enterprise B version of the Excelsior class makes me very sad.
Weird.
There.
Weird that they fucking had to change it and
Well,
not just make
yeah.
a new fucking ship and call it that.
Well, they don't. So the thing is, it had already been accepted that the Enterprise B was Excelsior class because it had been, I think, just sort of a fan assumption for a long time. But I remember on the first season or 2 of TNG, the conference room had the like ship silhouettes on the wall, so they already had an Excelsior silhouette for the Enterprise B.
Oh, did they? That's sneaky.
Yeah. So
Yeah, but I also don't. I mean, I get that they wanted the ribbon to go out and smack a part of the ship, but I don't.
yeah, it still could have they could have found a different way.
I know, and how close do you have to be to the ribbon for it to snatch you? I mean, granted,
That gets back to the
it's-
poorly defined
yeah,
mechanics
fucking
of the
ribbon.
Nexus.
Like, it should have like taken some other people off the ship, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah.
I don't fucking know.
Yeah, well, I
That
guess-
would have been great. It's like right as they're about to go, it's like, "Hi, what? Who the fuck are you? I'm Lieutenant Junior Grade Smith. I was also on the ship. Can I go too? Sure, I guess.
I want to punch some old guy.
I'm tired of having a carousel in my living room. No one would be tired. That thing was great.
So I know, Ames, you explained that the random grizzled old man on the boat Enterprise in the holodeck.
The Lady Washington.
The Lady Washington, thank you. The old grizzled man was the ship's real-life captain. But I still want to know, assuming he's not just created by the holodeck, who is that man on the Enterprise D? What is his job? What is his rank? Or is he a civilian?
He's a line cook.
He's the swabby.
He does look like a swabby.
He does.
Yeah, interesting note about that scene. Again, I remember watching all these behind-the-scenes things when I was a kid. Is that when Worf is climbing back up the stairs, or back up the ladder onto the deck, you notice that his knees are covered in what looks like blood.
I know.
bright
I asked,
red.
like, what happened to Worf's knees?
So the real story behind that is apparently their shooting schedule was such that they had just finished painting that boat when they were shooting that scene, and the paint had not dried. So when Michael Dorn was climbing back up the side of the ship, his knees rubbed against the red paint that was still wet on the ship, and he made it look like he had blood. And it's amusing to me that they didn't bother. They just left that in.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't going to shove Bev off the boat again, were they?
I mean, I'm sure. I mean, that assumes they only did one take.
That's also probably not really Gates McFadden, it was probably her stunt
I don't
person.
know. I know Gates did a lot of her own stunts in the show.
That's
so.
true.
Well, and getting pushed up a boat's not really much of a stunt.
No, but it's
But
my
she doesn't get pushed into Worf.
Yeah, she fell into him, so that is technically, and sometimes, again, it's not a question of if the actor wants to do it, it's if the production will let them.
That's also true.
There's insurance.
Yeah, insurance purposes.
Yeah,
So
like how
that
Dorn-
also means that Dorn was probably getting high off of that ship. Because, huffing
paint
wet
fumes.
paint.
I don't know how much you can
No, I was thinking.
Not
inhale
really.
paint.
No, I know. I was actually once in a play where the flats had just been painted. But opening night, the flats were finished.
Were they using spray paint? Because that's a whole different...
No, but it was just during the whole...
They're spray painting in place.
During the whole opening night, it's just like...
Ooh.
It was a
Yeah, no thank you.
whiffy evening.
Well, there are two little things I wanted to also bring up. One was that they cut a whole bunch of stuff because they had a scene on planet, which is why for a while I'm wondering, what happens to all the rest of the crew once they're on the planet? Oh, they just get zapped. It feels like we totally forgot that they fucking existed. That's because there was originally going to be a whole additional plot with them on planet, because the Duras sisters would have survived, gone down to the planet, and I'm going to read you a quote from the book. I'm going to read you a quote from this book that I think Caitlin will enjoy thoroughly.
Okay, I'm ready.
A 10-page sequence that followed the crew after the saucer crash was not trimmed until the fourth draft. The well-armed Duras sisters and a few surviving henchmen turned up to demand a shuttle after they fled their ship in escape pods. Riker responded to the theft by sending Data to deal with the sisters, since only an android could survive their sexual omnivorousness. A bedraggled Data finally emerged to announce that, quote, "I believe I have opened negotiations," just as one of his arms fell off. What? He is later disassembled to help repair the shuttle systems and computer. Blah, 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 blah. But then they decided Lursa and B'Etor just die.
That is the stupidest thing I have ever heard.
Stupidest or best?
Yeah, I mean...
Data fucked him to death.
Death by Schnoo Schnoo.
The best kind.
No. No. Oh my god. What? Oh. Was Gene secretly still alive?
Yes.
He's been taking over people's bodies.
That's what's in the
like
emotion chip. It's Gene.
Oh my
What I find most interesting is that the Duras sisters apparently call their hoo-has negotiation.
Oh, no.
I just.
Yeah?
Oh.
I mean, I was confused for a while. What? We're just going to ignore everybody on the ship after they crash landed? It's like, they crash landed. They get exploded. So much for surviving that crash landing.
There is no way Klingon ships are equipped with escape pods.
That's true.
That would be very
You wouldn't
dishonorable.
escape.
That'd be unhonorable. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you could claim they retrofit them because they're already honorless, but still.
So,
just...
That's
I didn't
true.
even say the thing that... Okay. if there is one thing about this movie that pisses me off more than anything else, and it always has, it is this. And I quote, Commander Riker, we're going to have 2 seconds to do this, so we need the torpedo to hit them as soon as they start to cloak.
Mm-hmm.
Data, start the cloak. Okay? We're cloaking! Our shields are down! Start the timer. 1, 1,000. 2, 1,000. 3, 1,000. Fire! 4, 1,000. 5, 1,000. It's like, I tried to time it once. It's like literally 13 or 14 seconds between when their cloak happens and the torpedo hits them.
And even if you assume they're cutting back and forth between things happening simultaneously, it's still too long.
Even the amount of time that we see the torpedo traveling from the Enterprise.
Yeah, that took forever.
So the whole point of this, I feel like this is an editing problem. I feel like the editor didn't get the memo.
Yeah.
Because I thought the whole point was that they would fire the torpedo, and then it would be flying toward them, and they would look at it like, what's that going to do? And then right before it hits, the guy
that
says,
would have made more sense.
Our shields are down, and then the torpedo hits them right then.
That does.
And that's made more sense, and there's more tension.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I don't know. It just...
Also
the way it's cut is just so bad.
I did like the reaction shots of their certain base.
Well, you still could add them.
Knowing that
You
they're
could
fucking
see, like
bombed.
they're standing there, they're looking at this torpedo, like, really? He fired a torpedo? What's he think that's gonna do? We got our shields. And they're looking at it kind of like, eh. And then the guy says, oh, we're cloaking, our shields are down. And then they have that reaction shot, like, what? And then, ba-doom.
It also, again, it just felt to me, I said at the time, like a really cheap reenactment of Christopher Plummer's death in 6.
Yeah,
like the really long, drawn out, like, in there, it worked.
What light through yonder window destroys me?
But this was just like, the wacky idiot sister version.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. Another thing, too. So, when the Enterprise fights the Borg...
Mm-hmm.
The Borg, they have to adapt their shields, right? They have to do that.
Why didn't they do that here?
The whole reason the Duras sisters were able to blow them up is because they knew the shield frequency, and they know that right away. So they just rotate that fucking frequency.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Set.
I was kind of wondering about that too. Like, is that not something you can just...
Also, again, I mean, this I say this almost in jest because it's Starfleet, but why is the fucking shield frequency just printed on a fucking monitor right there?
Why doesn't it update every couple of seconds?
That would
it should always be fluctuating.
Well, especially that,
That's
even
a really
if that
good idea.
hadn't been SOP before, it should have become standard once everyone knew about the Borg.
Well, I also assume that the Enterprise's weapons have to be tuned to the same frequency so that they can go out.
Yeah.
There should be. Then in that case, they're connected. So
Yeah.
that They're both.
You
They're
just
both
you
fluctuating.
It's like-
rephase your shields. You rephrase your.
It's like we said last week with the World War I fighters. It's the 24th century version of making sure you don't shoot off your own propeller.
But if that's true,
Did we say that last week?
Yeah, we were talking about it.
Maybe that's not true, because if the shields have to have the same frequency as the weapons, then the Enterprise's weapons should have been able to go through the Klingon shields. So maybe that's not true. Because the Klingon weapons Klingon shields would have had to have the same frequency to allow their weapons.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
Oh, that's a good point.
So I don't know. I don't know how this works.
I don't think the writers do either, to be honest.
Probably not.
It looked. If you don't think about it, it looks good.
It was a decent
Like the Nexus.
battle. Like
Don't think about it.
The special effects for the battle were pretty nice.
Yeah, until they cheaped out on the fucking...
Yeah, the explosion at the end. Like the fact that we've seen many, many shots of this fucking bird of prey. It's in orbit around a planet. When it blows up, there's no fucking planet.
And the worst part is
I have their bird of prey right here.
it's an appreciably different film quality. They couldn't even go through and try to kind of tidy it up a little.
Blow it up and send them the footage so they have another bird of prey blowing up.
Yeah, this was released with the movie, too.
No, but here's the joke, though, is what you do is you make it look like you're gonna do that in your backyard. You've hooked it up with some dynamite and the whole 9 yards.
And
then
then
you
cut to
splice in
Okay,
the bird of prey from the film.
We should actually do that.
That would
That'd
be
hilarious.
fucking hysterical. I'd watch it.
I'd love
twice.
I just want to see someone do a thing where they go through and they make a bunch of different ship explosions in Star Trek. Just that bird of prey, even if it hadn't been a bird of prey 5 seconds before.
They blow up the Borg cube.
Bird of prey
That'd be really funny.
blowing up, a fucking Nero's ship going to the black hole at the end of the Kelvin movie. Bird of Prey.
Cool. One last thing I wanted to show you guys. Jake might know this. I don't know if the rest of you know this. Is that Star Trek Generations marks the first website ever dedicated solely to a movie on the internet.
Oh, really?
In 1994.
Oh, good for them. Oh, God, does it still exist?
I have it in the Wayback Machine.
Wow.
It is very 1994.
Ooh.
Wow, yes,
Actually,
it is.
better looking than I would have thought.
And
Yeah, that's
I'll
fair.
share this on the thing. There are two options. You can watch the graphics rich and text only. Because reminder,
I remember those days.
it was 1994.
Amazing.
And you were probably on dial-up.
Dial up.
Well, not just that, but like, you know, the internet, or well, not the internet, but the World Wide Web was what, 1991? So this is, how many people would even had the web at this point?
I don't know. Yeah, not many, but certainly nerds.
Yes.
Oh, God, this movie's going to be 25 years old this November.
Wow. Yeah, they have a little menu that looks like one of the L cars kind of things.
Oh, God, movie preview. Right, to sit there and download it.
Oh, gosh, probably.
For 6 hours.
So I had a, speaking of multimedia stuff, I had a video game that went with this movie.
Oh, yeah?
It was like, I have very limited recollection of it. It was followed the plot of the movie very loosely, and it was kind of like a Doom clone sort of game.
Okay.
You walked around in different environments. I think there was some on-ship stuff too, but oh, you can download.
There's a bunch of GIFs.
Well, I mean, I'm assuming.
I don't
I don't think they exist anymore.
They're probably long gone. But yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. And you know,
That
it
is
was after this because you know there also weren't a ton of people using the internet at the time, and they were surprised that they got so many views because a lot of people also came back and relooked at things and nerds and all that stuff. That after that, other movies started saying, "Yeah, we'll have a website for our movie too," and all this stuff. So I thought that was kind of cool.
One of those sounds. The opening narration from Preview 1 is 327 kilobytes, which...
That is some high sound quality.
Well, just the fact that even was available on the internet at this time, you know, to download, that would have taken
Oh, you could have gotten Data's laugh.
Make that my ringtone.
6 kilobytes.
God, no.
Oh, Data. Data at the end with Spot was great.
Yes.
Data for most of the rest was annoying.
The oh shit was pretty good.
The oh shit was good.
Oh shit was great.
Yeah, mostly that was frustrating. And the other highlight, of course, is the Geordie roll.
That's good.
Geordie's
where he ends in that little like
he does like a perfect
pose.
like a perfect like a pirouette kind of a thing. What word is that? What word I'm looking for? Sure.
Works for me.
Yeah, and then like comes out of it like, hey.
Yeah. Perfect little sexy
Geordie's
pose.
roll.
Yeah, best roll.
So they must have actually just destroyed the set to do
Yeah.
that final scene. Just
They did.
Just trashed it.
They trashed it because they had to make room for Voyager anyway.
Well, I guess that's fine, but at the same time, it's kind of a bummer that they
Yeah,
didn't
that's gone.
save it. I think I read somewhere that somebody acquired so they recreated the bridge set a little, you know, different scale and stuff, but they recreated it for the Las Vegas Star Trek experience. And once that exhibit ended, somebody like bought the sets from that.
Yeah.
And there was, at least several years ago, I don't know if it's still happening, but there was like a fan project to rebuild screen accurate versions of the Enterprise sets.
So the guy that owns the Las Vegas stuff was involved with that pretty heavily, I think. And a lot of that's on hold because of certain accusations of impropriety.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did they
Wow.
bang on it? Did they bang on it?
No, but I mean, he was inappropriate with ladies.
Ooh.
Who was?
Allegedly.
Who?
This guy that owns this Las Vegas set that Jake was talking about.
Ew.
Well, that's a shame.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I was reading about it not that long ago.
Why do people have to turn out to be creepers?
Yeah, I
God
don't know.
damn it.
They took the wrong fucking lessons from Geordie.
Ugh. Just do the roll. That's fine.
Yeah, do the roll, end up in the pose.
Man, whoever like at Starfleet made the decision to build all these Galaxy class ships at great expense must be kicking themselves. There's already 2 of them got fucking destroyed.
Yeah. Oh, and it had your favorite teddy bear moment, Jake.
I know that
Yeah.
fucking teddy bear.
The fucking bear.
I don't know. Even knowing it coming,
So dumb.
because the first time Jake and I watched this, and Jake points out, like, oh, there's teddy bear alert, teddy bear alert. I'm like, oh no, they're going to do it. And then they drop it, and I still feel like, oh no, teddy bear! Fucking work! It made me have feels! God damn it!
what part of the ship were they evacuating at that point? Because
The daycare.
Yeah, shouldn't
the
the
daycare-
families already be in the saucer?
Yeah, there shouldn't be any daycare in the drive section. There shouldn't be any, like, sick bay isn't in the drive section.
Maybe it was take your daughter to work day.
See, I thought either I read somewhere or I heard a moment of them saying, like, we're going to move everyone to the front of the saucer, knowing that the warp core was going to blow behind them and then therefore blast at the back of the saucer section.
That makes sense.
That's my...
So in that case, the
That's
teddy
my
bear's
Ronald
fine.
Moore
It's just
explanation right
it's just
there.
somebody will find the teddy bear when they're looking around the ship.
Or they'll just replicate a new one. No big
Spot
deal.
has already found it and torn it to shreds.
Good.
Good cat.
Good kid.
Pissed on it.
Good Spot. Spot
You're
was so
never
cute.
getting that smell.
Hers now. Yeah.
No, cats don't piss on things. They mark, but I don't know.
Well, we know she ain't fixed.
Could have been fixed after she had her kittens. Data could be like, man, that iguana didn't feed these kittens. I don't want any more. No more dead kittens.
Oh God! R.I.P. those kittens.
They're fine.
All right. Is that all we have to say about Star Trek Generations?
Yeah, it was thoroughly middling.
It was fine.
Yeah, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's certainly not the best thing.
Yeah, there were just a couple of things that infuriated me, but like I could see a pretty good movie in here if they had like smoothed it over a bit and fixed some stuff.
Just
that
one more
they didn't
edit.
need.
Edit.
I'll say. I mean, this movie will definitely make my top 5 TNG movies list. And with that, I think it's time to get out of here because we've been going on for a while.
A little bit.
Not that long for one of the movies.
Yeah, it's also hot.
Yeah.
So I want to get the AC back on.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all we have today, folks, for Star Trek Generations, a Star Trek movie on A Star to Steer Her By, a Star Trek podcast
Whoa.
about a movie.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's crazy how that works.
Waka.
Yeah, so some ups, some downs, but all in all,
Some rolling around.
Okay.
With Jordan.
Yeah, with
Okay.
Jordy.
not as bad as it could have been, but certainly not as good as it should have been.
Nowhere near as
Yeah.
bad as I expected.
Next week on our show, though, we'll be talking about what is, I think, widely regarded, I won't say, completely, but I think widely regarded as the strongest of the TNG films, and that is, of course, Star Trek First Contact.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be talking about that next time. But until then, you can find us on the internet, on Facebook and Tumblr and Twitter. Our name is SSHB Podcast. You can search for us. You can also find us at sshbpodcast.com, as well as on Apple Music and Podcasts and Google Podcasts and Music. And you can always download our show at our home on the web at soundcloud.com. Search /us. That didn't come out right.
2 more. 3 more. You got 3 more after this.
Oh,
Jake.
we're gonna do it up.
I'm gonna make you guys so proud.
We're doing it up. Yeah. So until then, though, my name has been Jake,
This has been Chris.
This has been Ames.
This is always Caitlin.
and remember, time is the fire in which we burn.
Nice.